Hi there, I'm Chuck Rozanski and I own Mile High Comics here in Denver, Colorado. We're located in what is an old industrial building in a really sort of sketch neighborhood that is right where Interstate 25 and Interstate 70 come together, about a mile from downtown. And you would think that in an industrial area like this that we wouldn't get diddly shit for business. Well, the answer is quite the opposite. We get everybody and their grandmother coming here, including about 5 years ago a visit by filmmaker Kevin Smith, who happened upon me just after I had been out delivering food to the homeless, as I did this morning. And so Kevin and I took a little wander around the store. I've known Kevin for like 25 years. And he was blown away. Well, I thought just for funsies today that I would make a little bit of a sequel to that original video. Kevin's not here, but I can walk you around and I can show you that this is not a static comic book store. I despise that concept, actually, because I think that it's an awful lot like having a theater that shows the same film over and over and over again. I don't care how much you like Rocky Horror. After the 14th time, you're probably kind of a little bit done. I want Mile High Comics to always be super cool and super interesting. So I'm going to cheat today, which I do a lot, because I actually haven't seen a lot of the stuff that we've added over the course of the last year. We've been spending money like drunken sailors, like over $1 million on buying collections. And some of them I bought, so I at least got to glance at the stuff that I was buying, but a great deal of material that we've purchased. We buy here at the store 3 to 5 collections a day, and there's stuff that's in here that I've never seen. So if you see me go gosh wow, which I'm pretty sure I will, that is not any kind of stage thing. It's me going gosh wow, because I don't even know what I own. The fun part, though, and I'm going to say this because I love to brag about this, if you see it in the building, I own it, and I don't have any bank debt that attaches to it. I paid it all off, so if it's in this building, nothing's on consignment, it's all ours. So come on, let's take a look inside the building. And then you walk into the light of our cathedral of comics, where we all just bask. And I love this place. I love the ceiling height. I love the atmosphere. I love the smell. I can't give you the smell, but when you walk in here, you can smell the paper and maybe just a little pinch of that old mold that goes with wonderful old comic books. And then just because we like to wow the tourists, we throw a tiny microcosm of our better comics up here in the front, just so that everybody can get a sense that, yes, indeed, this is actually a comic book store, and we actually do have some pretty rare stuff. We put some things in here that are not for sale, such as the Ghost Rider and like my Master of Kung Fu page that I brought in from my personal collection just because the movie recently came out and I thought that people would like to see that. That's actually from Deadly Hands of Kung Fu #1. But, you know, you've got things signed by Stan Lee and Jim Starlin, and actually that fist is signed by everybody and their grandmother. And there's a Spidey one signed by Stan here somewhere. Then there's some old Golden Age and early Silver Age and key issues. And so you know, and I am very upfront about this, I don't like selling my stuff. My goal is to make this store the neatest, coolest, funnest place to visit on the planet. That would be impossible if I priced my stuff at market or below and actually tried to sell it, because then that would turn this into a business instead of an exercise in madness, okay? And I'm crazy, and I don't mean that halfway, and I don't mean that in anything but a descriptive form. I want to own all this stuff, and I want to keep it, so I price it higher than market because I'm not really interested in selling it. You get me on a cold day when it's snowing outside and Annette needs to pay the utility bill, yeah, I'll work with you on something, but as a general rule, you can bite me because I don't want to sell my cool shit. We just have all kinds of stuff. I mean, we really go out of our way. Well, when we're buying, we pay more than anybody else too, by the way, which is another reason why we price a little higher. But we go out of the way to find things that are really cool. And part of what makes this store so much fun is that we set up like these large figures, and they're not here for sale. They're just here to charm and entertain people, and most especially, this store is an exercise in creating really positive memories among the young people that come here to visit. Because my childhood was crap, okay? I don't have a lot of very positive memories about my childhood. But I want the kids at Denver, the kids that come here from out of state, to just geek out and have a great time with their family. Hopefully, we have so many genres of things that we sell here. The goal is to try and have something for every member of the family. So grandma might find some old movie magazines from the 1930s that she thinks are the bomb, and dad might really get into the Superman stuff, and the kids might get into Pokemon or whatever. I don't care. Our goal, when people bring us in collections, we buy everything. And then we make it so that the whole store is just one big rolling wonderland that changes every day. The store that Kevin Smith saw 5 years ago, long gone. First of all, it didn't even have half of what we have today. And second of all, what we did have, probably a bunch of that already sold. So let's walk down the statue. I literally just never know what we're going to have. This is such fun stuff. Got one case here where the light is out. We've got the gentleman coming in to replace it. The lights are sitting in the front. Just fun. Lots of color. I get addicted to color and form. And so for me, this is just a joy to be able to see all these different images. We'll finish walking down here to the end, and then I'll explain all the rainbow flags and various other flags. So it's kind of a long story, but this is the transgender flag, and just by coincidence, this wasn't planned for today, but I'm wearing one of my transgender t-shirts. I identify as being gender fluid, and so I'm Chuck Rozanski, and I'm also Bettie Pages. And so I perform as a drag queen, but performing and well, it's complicated, but I identify more as Bettie as each day passes. And so I definitely am an intergender person who supports the LGBT community a lot. And so we have drag shows that we put on here. And if you're a homophobic bigot, you might as well flip off now, because we put on all ages drag shows here, where we let trans and gender questioning kids that are some of them below 10 years of age perform. We actually have a full performance stage up here. Oh, actually, here's a picture of me as Bettie with some of the kids. That picture's a couple years old, but we do these shows every month, COVID permitting, and it's a really good thing that we do. It provides a safe space for kids who otherwise have nowhere to go. And having the performance stage in here means that we don't have as much selling space, but we get as many as 400 people to our shows. And it's a really important thing for the Denver community, so it's something that I intend to continue doing. So our biggest feature here in this store is this Sentinel, which I'm planning to move into the center of the building. A gentleman built it and had it stored in his garage, and his wife kind of objected after a while. It was in 3 stages, and we put it all together, and man, it's big. But we're gonna move it to the center of the room so that we can get a better view of our mural. This mural used to be on the outside of our Garden Grove mega store, and we had it in storage for about 12 years, and then we put it back up together again, and it's almost entirely ready to go. We have to do some work back here, but for now, the mural is over Pam's new manga and anime corner, which is a new area that we're just building into. But Pam, I haven't actually seen what Pam did. She bought a big collection this last weekend, and damn, she just keeps adding. Oh, there's all those. Wow. Holy cow. And she's been selling them already. I told her to price them higher. Damn it. I don't want to sell stuff. I mean, the whole goal is to make the place cooler every day. But just to show you an exercise in my madness, for our last drag show, we had to put some pallets aside, and so this goes back. This is 500,000 comics right here that we haven't sorted through yet, but that I pretty much paid for. This collection here I paid 70 grand on, and I think we've got 2 or 3 more payments left to go. But we've never even opened them yet. And this guy had a complete DC, so I know there's some really, really old comics that are in this particular palette, but that's just one of a lot of palettes. And then along this wall and right here, this is 50,000 trade paperbacks and hardbacks, but this is just my older stash. My newer stash I'll show you in a minute. But we have a lot of trade paperbacks and hardbacks. I like to say, because it just has a good ring to it, that we actually have more right here in this little corner of the store than Amazon offers. And that's sort of like the ultimate go-to anymore. If you can say you got more than Amazon, that's like, yeah, you got to prove that. So we will take a quick little wander there. But in the meantime, out here in the front, we have all kinds of trades and hardbacks. Some of them are out of print. We still are selling them at cover price because I'm trying to keep books available for everyone, even though the publishers themselves are really cutting back on them right now. Just to take a quick wander back here in really kind of my favorite part of the store. This area back here is where we have all of our trades and hardbacks and graphic novels. And we're in the middle of a condensing project right now. We originally started doing everything alphabetically. And then we realized that it was just impossible because you can't ever have the space you need where, if you buy a book that begins with the letter D and there's no space on the D shelves, then you have to shift and shift and shift. It doesn't work. So we started using internal identifier numbers on all of our books. And so what we do then is once a year, we condense. And so these are all nice and tight now. And there are more than 300,000 books now that are from the alphabet system through the number system. And I just try to accumulate as many of these as I can and never sell them. And I have told this before, so if you've seen one of my old videos, forgive me. But I think that there's actually a tactile element to being a collector. And when they're in shrink wrap, as these official Marvel handbooks are, and you run your fingers along their silky spines, there's just a really great, wonderful feeling that I love. So sometimes when everybody else is gone and I'm here only by myself, I'll wander through these in the darkness, and I just love all these books. And so I figured out one day that I could sell 100 books a day for the next 30 years and not run out. And holy cow, that's a lot of books. But it is what it is. And I'm sure that those of you who are collectors and who share my passions more than understand. To me, this is evidence of failure, because this is where we sold books, okay? And that means that obviously we didn't price them high enough, damn it, because people went ahead and bought them anyway. And not just a couple, but a bunch. And you may wonder, How do I stay in business if I don't sell things? Well, the answer is I do sell things. But, you know, I try to avoid it. It's just seems like it happens anyway. We have, by the way, in this building, about 10 million comics. And then I have some storage trailers where I got another million, and then I got my place up in Boulder, I got another 2 million. So I'm north of 10 million by a lot. But if you can count them, then you ain't got shit, okay? Because only when you have exceeded the capacity of your ability to actually physically count, that's when you know you got a lot. Moving from comics and trades into toys, I have to say something funny, and that is that I looked at one of my old videos on YouTube the other day, just because I wanted to see how dated it was, and I came across something hilarious, which was me saying, oh, I'm a comic book purist, and I want my store to be about comics and graphic novels and graphic art, and I'm not going to carry any of those crappy toys. Oh, Lord golly gee. The world, the universe impinged upon me, and we have more toys in this store now than any other place in America. I know it's not my fault. I really don't. I like some three-dimensional stuff. Statues in particular I think are cool. I've got a Sandman set at home. But it was never my intention to become the Popmeister or anything else. That wasn't the plan when I opened the store. But then, you know, sometimes you realize that sometimes destiny forces you to find a joy that you didn't know that you had. And in this particular case, bringing in all these toys has allowed me to make so many people happy. And it's like, so why the hell am I not doing this? So anyway, I have fallen to the dark side, and I am now a toymeister with tens of thousands of cool toys. Follow me. Yes, we sell new comics, but not a lot. If you want them, you better order them through our subscription service, because that's the only way you can guarantee to get them, because I'm not going to invest a lot of money in $5 comic books that might or might not sell. But I will invest in, oh my God, look at that. That is really cool, 1,500 bucks. These Zippos all came from Dave Scrogie's collection. Dave was the manager at Dark Horse for all of their licensing for 30 years, and he's since relocated to Scotland. And so he sold me all of his stuff, and he gave me this shoebox as a part of his collection. I paid him a lot of money for the whole collection, but he said this shoebox is worth a ton of money, and I said, yeah, sure, right. And then we took out these Zippos that were in the box, and it's like, God, you know, there's a lot of these that are $100 or more. We had one in here that was $600. I said, nobody will ever buy a Zippo lighter for $600. Bing, first one that sold. Wow. Goes to show what I don't know. There's my namesake, Bettie Pages. What's really neat is that Dave knew Betty, spoke to her on the phone a couple of times, and he was the one that created all this stuff. So that was really nice. I have a prototype for this particular figure that never went into production. Sorry, kids, that's not for sale. Oh, more stuffs. By the way, I still have 2 pallets full of Dave Scrogie stuff that I've never unpacked. And I bought his collection 3 years ago. So I need to get my butt in gear and finish unpacking it. Oh, and then Universal Monsters. A lot of this stuff came from Bert in North Carolina. So he had a great Universal Monsters collection. I was, for those of you who know this name, Forey Ackerman had the Acker Mansion in Los Angeles and was a huge monster memorabilia fan. He was a very good friend of mine, and I love Forey. He's since passed. I've never even seen this case at all. More horror stuff. I don't need horror stuff. Oh, these came from the gentleman that was in Aurora who passed away. He had all the model kits that were unbuilt. Yeah. Aliens. Yeah, some of this stuff came from Bert also. This is why, if someone has a collection, I'm willing to drive to Hellingon to buy it. I got my cargo van and I just go out there. In Bert's case, it was so much stuff that I actually had to rent a 20-foot U-Haul. But I drive all over the country and spend lots and lots of money. But just so you know, don't expect me to come in there and write you a check for blah, 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 because I do all of this on payments where, you know, I give you $1,000 or $2,000 a week for however long it takes to pay it off. That way I can sell some of the stuff and maybe help to pay for the collection. I don't have any like big lines of credit with banks or anything like that. Banks suck, okay? They really want to just take your money and make you their bitch. And I don't want to be that person anymore. I did that for 40, 50 years, okay? So I'm not going out to borrow money to buy collections. You want to sell me your shit? I'll buy it. I'll pay you. I've had a couple of people say, well, how do we know you're going to pay us? If you got to ask that question, don't call me. I've been doing this 51 years. I have bought collections through all of those 51 years, and I've always made time payments, and I've always made the payments, or else my name all over the internet would be mud. So, oh, now we're entering Star Wars land and then Star Trek land. And we never really did go into all of the action figures, but that just gets too much. More Star Wars, more Star Wars, more Star Wars, more Star Wars, more Star Wars. We had a guy come in the other day. He took one of the shopping carts in the front, filled it to the brim, went up to the front, and gave Lisa $3,000 in cash for everything that he could have grabbed. It's just like, sometimes I just, like, how am I supposed to keep my shelves full if you're going to be coming in here and just pillaging and taking all my cool stuff? Star Trek over here, including, we've been blessed to get a few uniforms and other type items. Behind here, you'll see more and more and more stuff that we need to sort. That's sort of the defining nature of who we are. And to some extent, this is on purpose. If we have to shut down like we did with COVID, we have more than enough to keep working on for a long period of time. So we don't view unsorted backstock as being a detriment. It's just getting older and better by the day, so I don't really care. And that's why I go out and I keep going out to buy new and fresh things so that I can keep making the store better. This part of the store over here is one of the Disney corners. Have some really nice Vernon Kills figures here. I collect those myself, so I go out and I buy this stuff even though I really shouldn't. But I'm crazy for the stuff that they did in 1939 and 1940 related to Fantasia. This Jessica Rabbit is way cool. That is limited. It was a sideshow figure. We're getting more and more sideshow figures, and that one was limited to 750. Someone was just telling me they want this in the worst way, this Princess and the Frog, Dr. Fascinator. Pretty cool. Seems a little low at 500, but yeah, that's me. You know, but in these cases, we have stuff that's, some of it's almost brand new, some of it's very old, but the goal is to come up with stuff that's cool, and not everybody who collects comics is interested in Disney stuff, but I like it and I collect it. But just to show that we do try to make this very accessible to everyone, we have these cases where we've got little figures and all kinds of stuff, and they're 3 for $10. And so, especially for stocking stuffers for Christmas, we sell tons of this stuff. And people just slide the cases open and pull some out. But it looks like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that. We used to have 3 cases, now we only have 1. No wonder it's so damn full. But we had to add more because we did this Masters of the Universe case.
Saga, the Swamp Thing, Alan Moore's
Batman cores, Flash and DC Heroes, Turtles, of course, WWF, G.I. Joe. I bought an estate, you know, and that's one of the sadnesses is that I have to deal with folks who have lost loved ones and then buy their stuff. I'm supposed to go look at a 30,000 comic collection here in Denver next Monday, and I get all this really cool stuff, but sometimes it's a little hard for me to look at because I know that the person who owned some of the pieces was a really good customer of ours and a really nice person, and it makes me very sad that they passed. So, but more G.I. Joe. We got Transformers, Beast Wars. Ooh, more and more stuffs. And mind you, and I really want to emphasize this changes every damn day. It just changes. We have significant turnover in these pieces, and there was, for a while there, things were getting dusty, but not anymore. I mean, we typically, in any given week now, this building has become one of the top destinations for tourists coming to Colorado, not just from the Denver area, but from the entire country. And so when we have tourists coming by, they know that they only have one shot. You know, either buy it now or, because we don't ship this stuff. It's too much of a pain in the ass. So it's either buy them now or you're not going to get them. And we used to have 8 stores, including 2 mega stores. But the 2 mega stores were only about 10,000 square feet each. This particular store, in terms of selling space, has about 45,000 square feet of selling space. So we easily put all the fixtures from both of the older mega stores that we had into here, as well as most of the fixtures from the 6 smaller stores. Since we're up here at the counter right now, there's showcases going all around the counter that are just filled with all kinds of just really neat stuff. And we got, you know, more large figures that are pretty rare, and magic cards. Don't really do that much in the way of card business, but we do some. And we always try to stock at least some material. But superhero material is the best. I'm really proud of the fact that we have a full set of the colored lanterns. If you want them, they're 10 grand, and no, I'm not coming down. And I got these out of Kansas City, had to drive all the way over there to get them. But they belong to a gentleman who married a lady from China, and they moved there. And he left these in a storage locker with his parents, and they finally got tired of paying that storage fee after 10 years. And so I worked out a deal and gave him a lot of money. And so my goal is to keep those. But there's no other store in the country where you can find a set of those available for sale at any amount. And that's a really key element here, is that it's not that I try to have stuff cheap. It's that I try to have stuff that you won't find anywhere else. So even if you don't buy it, you can say you saw it, you can say you declined and you didn't want to buy it, but you got to see it, okay? What's the point if you never ever even get a chance to see it in one place? This little case full of figures is our most popular case in the entire store. Lisa fills this up at least once a month, and once a month they go away. And so it's sort of amazing. We do try to keep a little bit of Mile High Comics related memorabilia here in the store, but unfortunately we sell out of it all the time. Our Godzilla case is dwindling, even though we have them priced really aggressively. And then we've been getting all kinds of neat Star Wars and Lego stuff. variants. We have variant comics that just don't quit. Each one of these drawers holds 300, and there are 55 drawers of variants, presuming that they're full, which I think they are. 55 times 300 is 16,500 variants here, but that doesn't include what's in the back. In the back I have way more than 100,000 variants, probably more like 200,000. Then we have silver and bronze, more silver and bronze, more silver and bronze. Here we have stuff that for a long time was considered to be just crap, but people are becoming much more aware that the Melmac and plasticware type stuff wasn't produced in that great of quantities. And now, I have to take a second and give my little lecture on scarcity. One of the things about climate change is that it has created these enormous weather events. And one of the things that I've been seeing, and I get out in the world more than most people, is that a great many collectibles are being destroyed in these weather events. And so every time there's a fire, every time there's a flood, every time there's well, an earthquake is not a weather event, but the underlying premise is that there have always been house fires, there have always been basement flooding, but now with this being amplified by these tremendous weather events, we're seeing a lot of things that used to be common disappear. I'll just give you a case in point, and that is old pulp magazines from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, even going into the 1950s. Pulp magazines, I used to see a collection of pulps come in the store once a month. Now I do not see a collection of pulps come in the store once a year. They just aren't out there anymore. And for the longest time I thought that was because they were tied up in collections. But that's not logical, because if they were tied up in collections, those people would eventually die or move or get married or get divorced, and there'd be some turnover. There's no turnover in pulps. They're just not out there anymore. And I think, this is a fervent belief of mine, that all comics, all collectibles are becoming scarcer by the day. And that is why I am trying to pile them high and pile them deep in here and not sell them. So that's my little measure for the day. But this kind of cloth and fabric material is also becoming scarce, as is some of the early fast food and mass merchandise stuff. I love that big book. That's just great. Some of this stuff may be being remanufactured. I don't know. Lisa and the folks that are specialists here know, and so they price things based on scarcity. And then, of course, there's slabbed comics, CGCs and CBCSs. We don't have the largest selection of these in the world. There's guys who specialize in these who probably have 10 or 15,000 of them. But I got 2,000 of them, maybe 3. And we keep buying more every day, and we have a lot of really cool and rare CGCs. And we kind of rotate them and put out some new ones, and it's something that I just build on as time goes by. My goal is just to get more and more and more of them. But then again, my goal is to get more and more of everything. Like this Prince Valiant sword. I mean, it was very limited. What does it say what it was limited to? No, I don't think that they did more than 100 of these. But that's one of the original singing swords. Oh my god! And it's mine. Yeah, I love it. And then early Marvel stuff. I was raised really poor, so I could never afford any of this stuff when it came out. But I sure loved it. So, and I actually, when these came out, I was selling them at my first store, which I opened with. I opened my first store with $800 that I earned at San Diego Comic-Con in 1974. Now, I had been selling comics for 5 years prior to that point, so I actually started in '69. But the first store in what was a converted coal bin in the back of a basement opened in 1974. My rent was a staggering $95 a month. Kind of come a long way since then, I think. See, one of the problems, and I got to tell you the God's honest truth here, when you have this much stuff, you can't reprice it. So you price it once, and then you wait, and over time, eventually, everything reaches a point where your price is now too low. But we can't. I have been nagging our comics pricing expert, Will Moulton, to go through all these CGCs and update the prices on them. And he just doesn't have the time. He's so busy trying to bag and grade and enter all the stuff that we're buying new. So it's sort of an accepted loss on our part that we may have a book that's on our website at $1,000, but we have it back here at $450 or $350 or $250. And so it comes as no surprise to me when I see these empty slots in our CGC area because we haven't repriced the damn thing since we bought them. And that just, it really drives me a little crazy. And the same thing is true on our website. You know, we try to catch up with things and we try to reprice titles based upon their current demand function. But we just can't. We don't have enough time. There's not enough hours in the day. We have, I think, in our database, something on the order of 500,000 different listings. How in the world can we do that? We can't. I'm going to show you one more thing, and then we'll call it a day. This, by the way, is what we call our ocean of comics, and this is about 500,000 comics that we have out here that are just alphabetic. And the goal of these comics is to give everybody a chance to just be able to shop. We restock this constantly, but we can't reprice things. So if something goes up in value or up in demand function, it'll still be out there at the original price. This is the help desk right here, and this is the second most popular place in the store. And what happens is that anytime you need anything, you just come here and ring the bell, and we'll look it up for you because we have all these comics in the back, and we'll pull out of the back bins for you. And so these, if you ever buy from us online, these are our pulling files. And each one of these rows per side is 250,000 comics. So as we walk down the length here, this is 500,000 comics in this row, and there are 6 rows. So if you're a math major, that gets you right up there to 3 million single issues. And like our trade paperbacks, they are not alphabetic. They are done by an identifier number, which is on the book. And just to give you an idea, and this is something that people don't think about, we have what's called a sunk labor cost into getting all of these bagged, graded on the computer system and filed away. I estimated with Will Moulton the other day that we have somewhere between $2 and $3 million in labor in just putting together this pulling system. We had someone fairly wealthy who tried to replicate what we do at Mile High Comics about 10 years ago. They went bankrupt in 2 years because they thought that our business was all about buying comics. No, we are not a buying comics company. We are a sorting company. And our number one goal is to sort things so that when someone rings that little bell up there at the help desk, that we can actually find the damn thing. Because if you can't find it, you can't give it to somebody, you can't deliver it, you can't ship it for mail order. So sorting things and being able to locate them is the key to our business. Well, I'm going to stop now so that Chris can get his kids, okay? But if you got any questions, you can always write to us here at Mile High Comics. I am in the store in the afternoons. I own a farm up in Boulder. I work my farm in the mornings. I'm approaching the last third of my 100-year lifespan, so I'm about done. But I still love this store so much, and I love being in here at night all by myself. and feeling the unbelievably positive vibrations that come from all this cool stuff. I hope you've enjoyed my little tour, and I hope you come to visit us someday. And if you can't, I hope that my tour at least gave you a sense of who we are and what we do and what we try to do. This is one of the most positive and good karma places that exists anywhere in the world, and we hope that someday we can share it with you. All the best from me, Chuck Rozanski, Bettie Pages, Mile High Comics.